All right, let's just get started. All right, guys. Hi. Welcome to. Hello. Welcome to the November meeting. Let's start off with our guest speaker. We have my very good friend, Madison Lagares here. She is a actress, singer, film actress. I should have specified stage and screen. It's very different. And she's here to just talk about who she is, what she's done, what she plans to do, and just a little bit about, the world of acting and singing and all that stuff that we do here. So hi Madison.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm good.
Oh, that's good.
Just got back from school.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
Nice. Where do you live?
I live in Bedford, New York, so like 10 minutes
Nice.
away. Is this New York? This is not.
No, this is Connecticut.
This is Connecticut.
This is Connecticut, girl.
Technically, we're neighbors.
Yes, exactly. We're neighbors.
We're borders.
So yeah, I live in Bedford, New York. I commute like 45 minutes away, and I go to a private school in Connecticut.
Nice. Okay, so let's just start off with some questions. So first off, how did you get into acting, performing, singing?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
I don't know. My mom likes to tell me this story, and it's definitely true. So when I was younger, I was extremely kind of hyper and like energetic and kind of bouncing off the walls all the time. And so she's like, I need to find my daughter something to do because she's kind of crazy. So she put me into like soccer and swimming and dance and kind of like everything under the sun, and nothing really worked out for me. So my kind of kindergarten teacher, she was like, hey, you should put her into theater, because whenever, I guess, you read stories aloud in class, and whenever I read the stories, I was she noticed me being like super expressive and like kind of getting immersed in the little kid stories. So my mom was like, okay, I'll put her into theater. So she put me into like kind of a local production, and I think the first thing I did was Wizard of Oz. It was like a very, very...
Me too.
Really?
Yeah.
Who were you?
I was a munchkin.
I was a scarecrow.
Oh, no. That's good though. Good for you.
So I did, so I did that, and I actually ended up loving it. So I started putting like more time and energy, and a lot of kind of the excess energy that I had, I put towards that. And so it started off from being in little regional productions, and at that, I guess, production of The Wizard of Oz, there was an agent there. Weirdly enough, like it was the most local production of, not even local, but it was like the most tiny production you've ever seen of Wizard of Oz. There was like, yes, and he was in the audience, probably because he was like the parent of one of the kids. He was like, hey, I'm an agent, and I think you should sign with me. And I was like, okay. I obviously talked to my parents, because I was like 6. I was little. And he was like, so I signed, and then I started kind of going from there. I started off as an extra in a couple of films, kind of seeing how it worked out. And then I booked my first film, which was my first kind of bigger film where I had an actual character, and that was in A Walk Among the Tombstones. So I was with...
This is the one with Liam Neeson?
Liam Neeson.
Yes, I remember this.
Yes, so he, in the movie, he shot me, which was a lovely experience for a 6-year-old.
Lovely.
Yeah, so I was 6 years old, and they're like, hey, so, you're little, but, you're gonna be shot. And I was like, okay. So I had, all the makeup done, I got to meet with him, we had trailers next to each other, so I kind of, it was an interesting experience, and then from there I learned more about the industry, and now, and then I switched to Broadway, I guess, from that, which was kind of a random occurrence, but I think, after watching a couple of Broadway shows, I was like, hey, I want to do that. Yeah. So I auditioned, and I booked one, and then from there, booked another, and... Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
So that perfectly segues into our next question,
yes.
Which is, what is it like being a child actor on Broadway?
Okay. I think you could say it was definitely, it was a maturing experience. I think as a 9-year-old on my first Broadway show, I was one of the very few kids in the cast. Mm-hmm. So basically I was surrounded by the other 2 kids and then my child guardian, and everybody else was adults. So
this was On Your Feet?
This was On Your Feet, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So in On Your Feet, you're just going to the city every day. It's your job. You're getting paid for it as a little 9-year-old. So I kind of grew up. I can say that I grew up in the industry. So I learned from an early age how to be a professional actress, how to take directions, and I was constantly in communication with these adults. So I think in a way it definitely matured me quicker than a lot of the other 9-year-olds, I would say, that I knew. So it was a little difficult at first, socially, to be friends with people, especially like, it was ninth grade through 9 years old to 10 years old. That was the first time, and I was still, I think, in elementary school, so that one was a little bit easier. But when it came to like School of Rock and I was like middle school, that was definitely harder, because they were like, why do you talk that way? Why do you talk like an adult? Why do you not have the same interests as me? Why,
Yeah. It's a weird age.
It was a weird age, so I think naturally like that it was difficult socially, but once I kind of figured it out, it was a lot better. But I learned so much on Broadway. I learned, professionalism. I learned how to take them, how to take notes, how to be on time, how to learn really quickly, because when you're on Broadway, you have a month to learn an entire show. And then if you're understudying, which I think for School of Rock I did understudy, so I had to learn 2 characters in 1 month, and then you're just thrown onto stage. And so it definitely teaches you how to learn quickly, and then from there it becomes muscle memory after, I would say, around a month and a half of doing it. So then you're kind of just doing it subconsciously, and then you can worry about having fun. And then, yeah.
That's when the fun starts.
It is, yes.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about Broadway. We talked a little bit about acting for the camera. What is the biggest difference between those two?
Yeah. I would say as someone who started off acting for the screen or like acting on film, I noticed that. So when obviously like the camera's usually up close to you. The most obvious difference is you get a couple of takes. Like if you get a word wrong, you can retape it and stuff like that. So that's the most obvious thing. But I think acting-wise, when you have a camera super close up to you, you can make your kind of facial expressions and body language, I guess, a lot more not compact and natural, I guess, because you don't have an audience that's all the way over there. That's you have to make things a lot bigger when you're on stage. Yeah. So I think that I learned how to act kind of more naturally first for the screen. So it was definitely different. And then going from screen to stage, I had to definitely amplify everything, make my movements bigger, make my facial expressions so that they could be seen from the back, learn how to project. Because, on screen you have a microphone that's like a couple feet above you, and, you don't have to, I guess, scream like you on stage. Yeah. So, but other than that, those are kind of like the bigger differences, and there's obviously some minor ones here and there, but those are more obvious.
I heard that, like, film to TV, film to stage is much harder than stage to film.
Yes, absolutely.
Because there's so much that you have to change about it. And a lot of film people like to hire stage actors because they'll get it right the first time and not cost money on takes. Exactly. So I thought that was really interesting. All right, so what was your most significant moment for you as a performer? Like something that stays with you.
Okay, I would say the time that I knew. Okay, yeah. So the first time, the most significant moments in me would have to be, my first my Broadway debut. It was definitely that. Obviously, it would be significant to anyone who kind of opens up on Broadway. But for me, like, I remember having had asked actors on Broadway for their autographs, right? So, like, after I watched the show, I would, walk with my mom all the way to the stage door and hold out my playbill and, like, ask them for autographs and all of that. And I think the time that it really kind of dawned on me was when I did that, when I was on the other side of the gate. And I come out and, because then On Your Feet, like, my character, she was the the younger version of the lead character, so they knew who I was, and it had my own songs, my own scenes, and stuff like that. So being able to act in front of kind of a massive audience of like thousands a night, and then being able to come out the stage door, by myself and be able to sign the autograph. Like obviously I don't even want to remember what my signature was like, because I was like 9 years old. It was probably like very bad, but obviously over time I practiced it, but. It was kind of like that moment where you're just like, I was always on the other side of this gate, and now I'm the one signing the autographs and kind of being an inspiration to people, I guess, who maybe want to do this in the future. So that was kind of the moment for me, and whenever I think about it, it's kind of like, I got to experience both sides. So
wow, that's really cool. Okay, so What was your favorite role that you've played and why? And it doesn't have to be between School of Rock and On Your Feet. That doesn't give you many options.
I would. Okay, I loved. I was Sarah Crew in A Little Princess, so the lead in A Little Princess. That was really, really fun. I did that, and I got to wear like all the cool dresses, and the set pieces were super fun. I got to play Gabriella in High School Musical for an off-Broadway production, which was fun. But I would say honestly, it might be School of Rock.
Yeah.
My character.
It's a fun show.
It was so fun, and when I played Chanel, who was one of the singers, and then I understudied the lead singer, Tamika. So I got to kind of be both, which was really, really fun, because occasionally when, the lead singer was out, I would step in for her, and that role was super fun, but you're constantly on stage. And it's kind of like, I think it was like 87% of the show, the kids were on stage, kind of were doing everything. So it's not like you're waiting backstage for a long period of time for your kind of scene to pop up. Like, you're constantly on stage.
And I hard as a young kid.
What?
That's gotta be hard as a young kid.
It was 8 shows a week.
That's crazy.
And then on Wednesdays, I had to leave school early. So I was in middle school, so I think 6th grade, 7th grade. I would leave like in the middle of the day to go do my Wednesday matinee.
Oh, wow.
And then I had 2 shows on Saturday, 2 shows on Sunday. So usually we'd be in the city from like 11:30 to like midnight.
Were kids jealous of you in your school?
You
got to leave school?
I would say they were, but I don't think they were young enough to kind of not be jealous, because I think
they didn't understand.
If it was now, they'd be like, oh, that's her thing,
Yeah.
That's kind of what she does, and everybody has their own talents. But I think then they were kind of too young to kind of understand that. So, and I'm grateful for that because it would have been
made your
difficult.
life easy. Yeah. Okay. So all right. So next question: what is a dream show of yours to do?
Phantom of the Opera,
Yeah.
Christine.
Yeah.
So I've always wanted to be. That was one of the first Broadway shows I've seen. And actually, so when kind of I started getting into the whole like musical theater kind of stage acting, I was first trained in opera. Like,
really?
Yeah. So I'm classically trained before anything else. So I went from singing opera and kind of Italian arias and building my range on that, which I could say if you want to start off singing, if you want to know how to become like a professional singer with like a wide range, always start off with opera. Like it's such a weird ask, but it really builds your range. It builds your breathing, like your kind of how you're able to like breathe and you hold your diaphragm, and you reach these amazing notes. You're able to sing loud, hold notes long. So it was really interesting. So yeah, definitely it's Christine, because I would love to play her.
That's a great role and a great show. I wish I saw it before it closed.
Oh yeah.
It's like a staple of Broadway. I was like, how did I not see it?
I know. I saw it like 8 times. It's so weird.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So here's a really good question, and when I came up with this, I was very proud of it. Who is someone that you view as a role model for you as a performer?
Oh wow. Wait, I did not.
Sorry, that wasn't in the questions when I sent it to you.
Okay,
I came up with it this morning. I was like, oh.
It's okay. As a performer, like an actress or like a singer.
Either one.
I can do both.
Let's go.
Actor-wise, actually, I love Anne Hathaway. Love her. So I actually recently saw a movie that she was in called Mother's Instinct. I don't know if any of you guys know of it. It's newer. It came out with her and Jessica Chastain. It's kind of like a thriller. But like that was the first time that I saw her as kind of like an antagonist. And she was so disturbing and believable. And I know her as like, Mia from Princess Diaries or like, all of those characters. But I love her versatility as an actress. She can go from like doing stuff like Les Mis to Princess Diaries to this one where she's like a murderer. It's like crazy. So I love that versatility. And I think singing wise, I have so many. I mean, there's a singer, like, I don't know if you guys know her, she's kind of old, but her name is Minnie Riperton. She has an amazing kind of vocal range, and it's so beautiful to listen to. I think I recommend you guys listening to Minnie Riperton.
I'll have to listen to her.
Yes.
That perfectly segues into my next question is, you write your own music, right? Or you perform, you have original songs.
I have original songs out, yeah.
Okay.
So weirdly enough, I never really got much into writing my own music. I think when I have a producer and he recommended, like, you know, he knows a couple of connections, so they wrote some songs for me. It's not really my thing, I would say, performing in a studio, because I like being live. I like being in front of an audience, and I like singing songs. If I could, I mean, I've started the process of writing my own songs, and I would much rather write my own songs than sing someone else's. So I'm kind of working on that, but right now I'm kind of focusing on like theater and, you know, acting for screen and film. But if that comes, then absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So another question: what is one thing that you would change about the entertainment industry?
Oh.
Sounds like there's a lot.
Yeah, I think generally how they view specific. Oh no. Okay. So the thing that I really, really dislike and I've had to struggle with a lot is when they give actors breakdowns, right, for an audition. I'm sure you kind of also know about this. They really, really focus on stereotypes a lot of the time. So I've actually, this is really kind of infuriating, but I got close to a Disney audition. So they took me out to California. They actually ended up giving me the contract to be in this Disney show. I'm not going to name it, but I was like up to the very end. I was one of the last few people. And at the very end, after I had gone to California, done the chem reads, stayed there, you know, done the producer session, met with all of them, did costume fittings and stuff like that, they told me that they weren't going to give me the role because I wasn't Hispanic enough. And I was kind of at first I was like, what?
Yeah.
Because I don't really know, like, I don't know, but I think when I asked them what that meant, they were like, you know, we're looking for, you know, kind of a street, you know, very kind of Latina, you know, with a mild accent, or like she's more like street casual Hispanic. And I'm like, okay, even though
Disney.
Yeah, I was like, I don't really know what that meant, and they ended up, you know, giving the role to someone who was a little bit like that, you know. I think they wanted more kind of, they when they said it, they were like, we want more Bronx Hispanic versus that, and I was like, okay. So I didn't really, I think stuff like that where they view like a specific race or type of role like a certain way, and if you don't play it that way, like I'm 85% Hispanic, and I think I'm pretty Hispanic. Now, if they don't view me that way, I mean, obviously acting is acting. Like I could probably do that if I wanted to, but I think that was just a little frustrating. So if there's something I could change, I would say they really need to work on breaking out of the stereotypes. Like if you don't look the way that the normal stereotype looks, or if you don't act the way the normal stereotype looks, or speak that way, then you don't get the role. I think that's kind of frustrating.
The real world business can be very damaging. To a person's mental health if you don't take everything that you hear with a grain of salt. So this is my last question on the list, but what is the most important thing a performer should bring to an audition? It's for anything.
Okay. I would say, like, a piece of advice is to focus on yourself. And I mean that in, like, a lot of the times, like, when you're in the industry, or even when you're kind of, you know, auditioning for something, you can be worried about, you know, the role that another person is auditioning for, or like, you know, this person, they look like they're prepared, they look like all of this, or like, for example, like in the Broadway industry, when you're auditioning for Broadway shows, you see people come up, right? You know these people because you're like, oh, I've auditioned with that person like 4 times, you know, they have all of these credits, you get to know each other, and so it's very easy to kind of get intimidated based on what a person is, you know, their credits or like what they look like and stuff like that. I could say the biggest thing to do is focus on you, because you're a unique person. You know, you look the way you do, you act the way you do. You can't change that. And it's at the end of the day, it's the casting director's decision. It's not yours. So all you can do is just focus on yourself, give the best that you can give, and then they'll make the decision. But you have to learn how to take rejection. You have to learn how to take notes, and eventually out of a lot of no's that you'll get a yes. And then from there,
that's something that I think that is very important for especially young actors, because most of the time they don't understand that a no doesn't mean that you suck or like you can't act, you can't sing, you can't dance. It might just mean it might just mean that you're not right for that role.
Exactly.
You know, when I auditioned for The Wizard of Oz, I was 10 years old doing it was going to be a show with high schoolers. I for sure thought I was going to play the Scarecrow. And obviously as a 10-year-old that's auditioning with also high schoolers, obviously I'm not going to play the Scarecrow in that production. I'm going to be playing a Munchkin. And that really was like hard for me. But as time went on, I realized like why, you know, and stuff. But so, and something else we didn't talk about, and this is a big thing for you. I'm surprised it didn't come up. Grease.
Yes.
You did Grease.
I did.
Rise of Pink Ladies.
Yes. So that was kind of like one of my more recent. That was kind of my biggest and most recent job. I booked that. I think we booked and filmed it my freshman year. So about.
It was that long ago?
Yeah. It doesn't feel like it.
No, yeah.
It really doesn't.
It felt like last year.
It really did.
That's crazy.
Honestly. But yeah. So I was. If you guys know Grease, it was originally a movie. Yeah. It was so fun, and I played Frenchie. So basically, it was a show, like a prequel to like how the Pink Ladies and the T-Birds became the Pink Ladies and the T-Birds. So it was on Paramount Plus, and we filmed. It was about a 7-month filming process because it was still during COVID. So there was a couple of pauses, but we filmed it in Vancouver, Canada. The premiere was in Hollywood, and it was so fun. So I would say filming that was probably like one of my most fun experiences, because I was known as kind of like a very, very iconic character.
Yeah.
So Frenchie, and also she was my favorite character prior to even being a part of that role. So I think being able to kind of take that on, and people kind of recognize me as her, and then when the original Frenchie kind of emailed me and she was like, "Oh my gosh,
did she really?"
Yeah, she did.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, she emailed me. She's like, "I just want to say, like, you did a perfect job, representing Frenchie." And that for me, I was like, people could say, a lot of people were saying, she did amazing. She's exactly like her, and obviously, I'm very grateful for their input. But for her to come and say that,
that means something.
That meant something to me. So I think being able to take on that role was just an amazing experience. And I've always wanted to do a period piece too, so it was in the 50s. So
no, totally.
To wear the dresses.
Oh, yes.
Yes, it was so fun.
Yeah.
But
awesome.
Grease was a blast.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, do you have any final words for us? Anything at all? Just like a piece of advice or something that you carry with you when you are performing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that as much as people talk about the entertainment industry and the theater, I think it's a really beautiful and it's an amazing place to be a part of. I think that it's definitely an art, and if you really put your all into it and you really appreciate theater for what it is, which is art. It is kind of a masterpiece, and it's unique because you're acting and you're telling a story to an audience, and you can literally control how an audience feels about you or a character, just by saying lines and acting something out. So I think that you should really appreciate kind of the industry and kind of theater as a whole, and whether that's on screen, on stage. It's a really beautiful business to be a part of. So.
Definitely.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This was great. We're so happy that you were able to come. So you can just hang out before we go. But so moving on from our guest speaker, just a few quick things. Don't forget, merch is still a thing. Not many people have purchased, so just remember it is a big fundraiser for us. So go online and buy your merch. Otherwise, I'll hunt you down. I'm looking at you, Peter. Okay, so merch, and then really quick fall play. This doesn't apply for those of you that are in it, but if you're not in it and you're not doing anything that weekend, either come watch the show. Or you could even do both. You can volunteer. There's a sign-up genius in the band. You can volunteer to sell the tickets, concession, ushering, and starboard setup. It's really not hard at all. So don't feel like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Concessions are so self-explanatory. Ushering is really simple. Ticket sales is really simple. It's really not hard at all. So if you can, it's highly encouraged that we have as many people as possible. There still isn't a lot of people signed up. So if you haven't already and you're not doing anything that weekend and you're not in the show, sign up.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate the enthusiasm.
Yes.
Just those are the dates and times. You have to be there a little bit earlier than the showtime, obviously. I'm just not sure off the top of my head what those times are. I'm sure it's on the sign of Genius. So that's that. And so that's it. Are there any questions? Anything regarding anything? Yeah.
Hi, friends.